Hi there. It's been several days. I've spent a little time thinking about Clovis Ravenor and Thousand-Year-Old Vampire. Before I roll any dice, let's dig into those thoughts. So, Session 4 began with Clovis uncovering a strange new science or field of knowledge. He not uncovering so much as mastering it. And for that, I chose a mortal physiologist. There are general truths uh, in immortal bodies, regardless of their origin. And he's deciphered them. He's cracked the code. Shortly thereafter, as he's consumed by his studies and his growing political involvement, he's outed for the murder of King Edward VI. It's not something like he doesn't remember like the actual murder itself, right? He has to read his diary for that and go, "Oh yeah. That was how that night went. That was how those circumstances were. God, that was great." That's why I did that. But I ended up wrapping that he did that into other memories, perhaps circumventing something this game wants to stress. But, it's the cause and effect is something that matters for these memory chains. Just in memories in general, how they're built, and I'm not willing to let that shit go so easily. So, yeah, he did that, and, that was a defeat for Clovis. He had to leave. Otherwise, he, as the prompt says, you are exposed to this monster and flee to a far-off land. Like, he could have stayed, but he would have lost more than stationary resources, which he didn't have. So he flees, taking all of his meaningful possessions, his servants, his wealth, the concoction of ineffability, the medical tools that have surely been updated and, sharpened and honed over the passage of time, remain like something that are still there, something that haven't been spent. Much as trained physician is something that we know in lore Clovis can do, but has not been called upon to resolve a prompt. So, he flees to Italy. Flees to Rome, specifically. He may have been there once before in his century of life. Just seemed like the proper place to go. Fucking bye, Protestant assholes. I'm gone. He's after getting there, he spends, some time, maybe like a year, setting up, trying to intermesh himself into the area, learn the locals, learn the lingua, give his servants some orders, and then either from exhaustion or he's consumed over his defeat, or there's a puzzle he wants to solve, or he's processing culture shock, or whether it's just something vampires do, he falls into torpor. He goes out for a century. Which leaves us with Clovis's servants, and entire stories that could be told there, which don't matter, because we're focusing on Clovis Ravenor rather than his minions. So, let's dig a bit into Clovis's relationship broadly with his servants. From the memories he cared deeply about William. William was with him from shortly after Clovis turned, and was an inseparable part of Clovis's new lifestyle. Father Francis, a father figure for Clovis, introduced the two, and Clovis took charge of William, and for as much as Clovis is the director, an efficient allocator, a micromanager of his servants, and as much as we know that Clovis is a callous evaluator of life, This memory block here means that Clovis is harsh, but very fair to his servants, and at times affectionate, because in them he saw William. Of course, none of them could compare to William, but not a cruel master, even though they were bound to him by his ritual of blood. And so these servants, perhaps believing themselves to be superior beings, whatever, however they've taken in this whole, servitors of the lineage resource, they're uprooted as well. They follow their master to Rome. They're struggling to adjust their new lives and help integrate their master into society. And then their master, issues, some final orders, and he goes out. And he's never gone out like this before. This isn't in any of their oral history. What the fuck do they do? How do we bring new people in and indoctrinate them with the ritual of blood? Is Clovis waking back up? How long is this gonna take? A year passes, 10 years pass, 2 generations pass. The grandkids, the folks who moved, the children's children who moved to Rome in their teens. They're 80 now. And Clovis is still asleep. Entire lifetimes have passed, and Clovis is still asleep. And you start imagining, how the fuck has that been? What shell games have they played to protect Clovis in torpor? Impersonating him, utilizing and allocating, wealth, studying his resources, managing themselves, bringing new people into the fold, policing themselves, others trying to separate. He's never waking up. Others going to an extreme end. What will we do to wake him up? Did they perform any experiments on him to try and get him up? Did they feed him, the blood of people? Did they take blood from him in an attempt to reenact the rituals of blood? When he finally wakes up in the 1650s, he doesn't know any of his servants. He's never interacted with them before, and none of his servants have ever, even the eldest of them had only heard stories of Clovis Ravenor and how he was. So Clovis wakes up, the morale of the servants being what they are, none of that fucking ceases to matter, because holy fuck, he's awake. And Clovis is alright, I've finally puzzled my mystery out, just froze his brain, and he had to spend time pondering it, whatever the hell happened, alright, oh man, I'm really fucking hungry, well, what time is it? And he looks he starts calling names of servants that he remembers bringing with him from England, but they're not alive anymore, and it's gotta be explained to him. Yeah, you've, lots changed. So I was oh. What do you mean? How long have I been out? Servant's well... Now, Clovis is from the 1400s, who had adapted to live in the 1500s. Now he's a century out of touch. His life has changed. Society has changed, how people live have changed. The aristocracy and intellectual discussions, the various fields of study that he knew, language itself, even if he went back to England, that's all changed. And he's just out of the fucking loop. So he tries to go into society, into Italian society here in Rome, and all of that weighs down on his ability to interact. Like, you know, it was enough to have a culture shock of transitioning from London to Rome. Now he's having a culture shock transitioning 100 years. And he can't do it. He's humiliated, embarrassed. So many things have happened while his brain was locked up, or he was solving something, or recovering from an experiment on his own body. Whatever the situation was that put him into torpor. And, like, his ability to interface with people, it's gone. And it's a personal defeat. Perhaps as severe as the one that forced him to flee England. What results is his whole being becoming centered in his senses and his hungers. As if it were because of the shame that his, like, intellect couldn't just adapt, as if his understanding of people and the world couldn't just fall back into step. And it's like I don't need to talk to you. I just need you. And when I say need you, it's for sustenance. This may very well spin off on some absurd idea that if he digests bodies of these people, he might be able to inherit, like, skills and memories. He might speed up, like, connection to, like, this current world quicker and easier. But I don't think so. It's because of the shame. He loses this happiness here, this bit of comfort and joy he had, the affection he held for Father Francis, the affection he held for William, the origin of his servants. That fades away into just viciousness. And now he's the director, and he's a callous evaluator of life, but there's nothing to temper that. With his servants now, the people he doesn't recognize, but he sees glimpses of facial features which remind him of someone that he can no longer place. He's efficient, occasionally harsh, but fair, because he evaluates people and their worth. But the care is gone. The likability there, it's gone. As it is with just people broadly. Humans are tools, cattle, sustenance, and he consumes. As it turns out, that's illegal. The local constabulary unearths evidence of my abhorrent diet. How absurd. I changed the structuring of this memory. So I flee Rome with my servants and wealth. I am once more Clovis Ravenor, an English physician and alchemist, now residing in Istanbul. So, the fleeing thing, it's sudden. And Clovis is like, thinking about, like, okay, where the fuck do I go, right? And he's like, what if I just go back to England? And his servants are like, it's not a good idea, boss. What do you mean? A century's passed, right? Like, they're not gonna fucking remember, like, yeah, boss, so, they've, actually, immortalized likenesses of you. Your name the name of that you once held originally, because he's currently like known by Gabriel Strauss at the time, is seen as a curse, or the ruin you brought upon the kingdom of England. He's like, what, really? Like, yeah, boss. Like, you probably wouldn't be recognized if you went back, certainly not by the general public, but you absolutely couldn't be Clovis Ravenor. And you'd probably have to modify your appearance in some way. Makeup, prosthetics, well, a prop. You know, he couldn't look like he would want to. It was like, well, damn, okay. Well, he's like thinking about other like powerful and prominent cities, and like, how's Istanbul doing these days? And his servants who've, you know, you've got like folks there who a combination of English and Italian. Istanbul. The Ottomans are the scourge of Christendom. They are incredibly powerful, and they are around this time. The 1650s is not quite the height of their territorial expansion. They're currently being ruled by Mehmed the Hunter. One of the... It's difficult for me as someone who's not intimately familiar with Ottoman Empire history. I'll suffice to say that Mehmed the Hunter was a powerful, prominent, and long-reigning sultan. And under his rule, the Ottoman Empire stretched as far as it would go, from outside of Vienna, and later in the 1600s, there is an actual siege of Vienna that the Ottoman Empire loses, which results in them contracting as the Holy Roman Empire just hacks into them and takes back swaths of territory. So the Ottoman Empire goes up that far. You know, they got Central Hungary as a vassal. Their vassals extend to near Kiev. They obviously run through Istanbul. They go down past Baghdad to Basra. They go down to Mecca, and then they've got vassals along the North African coast. Clovis also probably considers going to North Africa. He's like, well, I want like a city that's really powerful and really populated, so that I can blend in, you know, or make a foreigner, but I need people, right? There's a glint in his eye. You know, keep in mind that Clovis, you know, went from being I can't say he had a swimmer's body, you know, robot-sized, but he was toned. This rulebook has not stressed that vampires' bodies don't change at all, that they're permanently locked into whatever form they were when they turned. So, you know, his body went from being like an oak tree, we'll say, to a portly fellow. He's like, I need a lot of supplements in my diet, right? I gotta be at a place that someone like me belongs. An antiquarian, right? Istanbul, that's what it is. And so, you know, though he doesn't know the language there, Istanbul is a cosmopolitan city. Prominent, powerful, long history. That's the place to go. And his servants are uprooted and forced to adapt to an entirely new situation. This Musings rambling ended up going longer, huh, than the first Musings one. I guess I fleshed some of this out, like, in the process of talking it through. Yeah, I guess that happened, huh? I think that's... yeah. Done hit, huh? I'll save thoughts I've had about Thousand-Year-Old Vampire itself for later. Those musings can be another time. Anything else? Nah. Let's start rolling some dice. That's a 6 minus 6. Understood. We're remaining on this prompt. 46, right? Okay. What's 46 say? You flee again, this time to a far-off enclave or colony. How do you use colonial rule to your benefit? Choose one skill. Occupier, insurgent, inconspicuous, or gone native along with an appropriate new name. Alright, so we're not going to be staying to explore Istanbul. It's a good thing I didn't bother thinking too much about that, huh? Okay, so we get to Istanbul, and it doesn't meet Clovis's expectations. He's had this vision of Istanbul and what it could be, what it would be as he's, on the boat ride there. And he gets there, and they spend a little bit of time there. And perhaps Clovis, this was just it had to be done. He had to leave. He couldn't go back to England, he was told, advised. Gets there, they spend, it's not even that much time, and he's like, fuck me. Right? Like, this says flee again, but I'm just not, I'm not feeling into that. They immediately know who he is there. It doesn't make any sense. The butcher of Edward the Sixth. A monster. So he's just there. He's like, damn, are you sure I can't go back to England? And the advisors are like, well, I mean, it's not a good idea. And then one of them's like, what about the English colonies, Master? Like, colonies? That's a thing? I mean, yeah, right? Yeah. And Clovis has to be clued into this bit that he really hadn't grasped in the couple years it's been since he's woken up, as he's dived into his feral nature and been ripping people apart and consuming them. It's Europa Universalis, imperialism, stretching across the world. There's a new world out there. And yeah, he knew of that in the 1500s. A lot of things have changed, though, in the century. Now we're, near the 1660s. Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can go to the New World. Yeah. I can find some place. English is the native language, and, there's going to be a number of the servants who are like, fuck. Well, it's better than being here in Istanbul, I guess, but still, fuck. It's like, I can be a big fucking deal. Yeah. There's gonna be someone, there's gonna be colonies who are in desperate need of the services and skills I would bring them. And they won't look into my history. They won't stare too closely at my eyes. They may not even mind my strange hours. Yeah. It'll be great. Alright, good. Is there anything else I should, wonder about? And his servants probably aren't all up to speed on some of the reasons behind why those English colonies were erected over there. We're not gonna worry too much about Protestantism. Clovis can discover that when he gets over there, right? He's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Fuck it. Let's go. Yeah, why not? Just see something new. Maybe this metropolitan life isn't for me. He says, looking at Istanbul, and it's just For, you know, while the hunger's there, I will harken a bit back to the idea of, like, flee again. Maybe it's such a powerful and prominent city. Anyone who might be looking for him, who may have some idea of his nature, would probably suspect he'd go to a city like this. But if he throws him a curveball, yeah, he'll stay one step ahead of anyone who might come looking after him. That's what it is. And so now, how do you use colonial rule to your benefit? Choose one skill. Occupier, insurgent, inconspicuous, or gone native, along with an appropriate new name. I think based on the off-the-cuff storytelling we've just been doing here, it's gonna be inconspicuous. He's not gonna be one of the ruling, like, elites. Oh, he could be. Where is he going, Grimith? Well, I can send him to a place that I know pretty damn well. It would make sense for him to be there. Don't mind me, I'm just, doing a little bit of thinking here. And I'm not thinking out loud, which is not helping you, of course, engage. Maybe it's giving you the time to do your own thinking about where you would imagine Clovis. Because I'm also considering what fucking name I want to give him. I'm moving him to Charlestown. Charlestown, South Carolina. Which will then end up saying that Clovis stays in Istanbul for several years. Combine that with the time that he you know, he like his time from, like, his awakening from torpor, the couple years he stayed in Rome after the fact, and then Istanbul. Yeah, we'll say that he gave Istanbul a genuine shot, and then perhaps something there spooked him. Like, it might not have actually been someone who recognized him or someone who was hunting him, but it still spooked him all the same, and he just isn't comfortable in Istanbul. It's not working for him. I'm, yeah, pretty sure that we'll do Charlestown. We'll say that he came in with the initial settlers. He hopped over and, you know, spent time crossing, you know, from Istanbul, you know, boarding vessels. He gets to Barbados. And then from Barbados, he ends up being a part of, like, the initial, like, settlers that go from Barbados to Charlestown. Charlestown, as we now delve into stuff that I'm actually pretty familiar with. It was a heavily planned colony. Rose to become powerful and prominent. Am I sure I want to make Clovis inconspicuous, then? The answer is no. Based on his callous evaluator of life, based on his personality we've developed thus far, he is an occupier. He's part of the initial group. He is, he slings his wealth around and manages to make himself a powerful man among the initial settlers. You know, he's a physician. but his words hold so much sway. Yeah, okay. I think that's what we'll do. What a prompt. If I can move again. We'll see whether I can actually use any of my local knowledge. Moving up. For those of you unfamiliar, I am a native of South Carolina. I have quite a few years of studying local backcountry history. Might as well just fucking put Clovis here. Let's derail that shit that I know. So, new skill. He is an occupier. And he uses colonial rule to his benefit because he is a big fish in a small pond. That's how he uses it, rather. He's a big fish in a small pond. He has, even with the century of torpor, he's got a lot of years of living experience. It's not over here in the New World. But when we look at things that he's done, ways that he's proven himself, how he's a skilled apothecary, the Devil's Footsteps, a callous evaluator of life, and the director, he's a leader of men. He knows how to plan and organize efficiently. Where the fuck do we put this? I think it's in Memory 5. As this, it ties in just due to, like, a moving location thing. How do I frame this memory? How do I phrase this? But I felt uncomfortable there. There. Despite the... I want to call it eclectic cuisine? I've never fucking, like... I've never heard, like, eclectic and cuisine, like, fused together. Yeah, let's do that. Well, that would mean that he found the eclectic cuisine enjoyable. I wouldn't call it exquisite, though. Yeah, I felt uncomfortable there despite the eclectic cuisine. So I uprooted myself once more and headed for somewhere no one would recognize me. The New World. After I uprooted myself once more, after a few years, and headed for somewhere no one would recognize me. The New World. Let's continue to stick with the single sentence, no matter how jumbled it is. What name am I going to give myself? I am now William Pendleton. the physician and shadow ruler of Charlestown. Do I want to put the E there? No, we don't fucking put the E there. It's Charlestown. Good. Thinking about whether I want to phrase that any other way. Yeah, that'll work. Back-to-back sentences with M dashes. Oh my goodness. Every single one of my history professors. And I'm fairly confident every single English teacher I had in middle and high school would suplex me or defenestrate me or be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Use a fucking period. Separate fucking sentences. And I'm like, the rules of the game. It's the rules. That's what an experience should be in a single evocative sentence. It encourages dumb shit, but it's gotta be a sentence. It doesn't have to be a correct sentence. It could just run on, but it's gotta be a sentence. Like, the fact that it's the same, like, fuck, I will not allow myself to word it that way. Can't. Okay. So I turned myself. Let's go back to the lab here. Let's take this back to the lab. So I turn. So I became William Pendleton. So I ventured to the New World and became the physician and shadow ruler. Just what a fucking this pretentious son of a bitch, right? Yeah, I'm the one who has the power here. I pull the strings. I decide who lives or dies. It is me. It is I. William Pendleton. In a place where no one will recognize Clovis. No one. These settlers wouldn't fucking know shit. Yeah. And I will put a legitimate use of a semicolon here. To separate the fact that, like, these aren't two complete sentences. I'm using the semicolon here because a comma is here, and that helps to, like, distinguish the two so that it doesn't blend together in a flurry of commas. And even if what I did was somehow incorrect, it doesn't matter. It's okay. It's just gotta be a single evocative sentence. Or it should be, anyway. Alright, I spent a goodly a goodly amount of time on that. We're in Charlestown now. No. You get in there, you stay together, and you roll together. No slipping out of the hand that usually doesn't roll the dice. Alright? 2 minus 1. 1. We're going to 49. Still Grimith. 47. Let me now check the prompt log. Yes, it is 47. You had left yourself on the correct page. Cool. The world has evolved in ways you can't comprehend. causing you to lose a good amount of wealth. Well, hapa. Check a skill. Create a skill that will hopefully prevent this happening again. Lose a resource. Alright. Let's copy that text. That makes sense. No, we don't need that. We don't need the dice can. We're done rolling dice for the moment. 47. So, time for us to check a skill. What is the skill that that falls by the wayside, that costs us a good amount of wealth? I've just picked up Occupier, but is it Occupier? Because the new world operates by a different set of principles, and Clovis hadn't quite fathomed the cost of the expense of what it would be like here. Because this is worse than his small town living, like where he grew up in the court he resided in hundreds of years ago. He's used to London as well now, and Rome, and Istanbul, and now he's fucking out here in the middle of nowhere. And that's what Charlestown is right now. The middle of fucking nowhere. Yeah, I think Occupier is what immediately gets taxed. He has an idea of what that's gonna be like when he gets over here. And it fucking ain't. And there goes the several bags of gold. The wealth. Clovis ain't so damn rich anymore. Oops. How do I want to frame this new skill? Do I want to make him a prospector of some kind? Do I want to, like, make him fiscally responsible? Don't mind me. Just thinking here, especially with the history of Charlestown and how I might loop that in as well. So, it would make sense that he gets there with the initial settlement. And, like, it fucking fails. And, there's another settlement a couple years later. And it replaces, like, the original one. So I can imagine how he would lose his investment, his money. And especially since he styles himself as the Shadow Governor, the Shadow Ruler. What new skill would he I'm just hanging on this. Do I want to make him a merchant? He's gonna make the money back, right? Maybe that's where, like, the investiture of wealth goes? Like, something to prevent him from losing this again. He doesn't realize the expenses of what it costs, particularly whenever a settlement fails and ends up having to be replaced by another settlement. So it would make sense that his new skill that he would develop, as he has lost wealth, would come from that to prevent losing that wealth again. Do I want to just say skilled merchant and just move on with this fucking prompt? I'm hanging here on, like, how else, like, maybe a trader of some kind? And now I'm wondering whether occupier, like, really fit instead of inconspicuous, but it's what I chose. It's more of a hostile word. Though, that's not the attitude the settler is like, fuck it doesn't matter. Let's, I'm just stalling while I think of this fucking skill. Begrudging understanding of economics. Reluctantly skilled merchant. I feel better about that. Good. Reluctantly skilled merchant. I can't help but wonder whether I should have stayed in the old world. Yet I can't help but wonder whether I should have stayed in the old world as I lose. Most of my, I want to call them liquid assets. Is that how he would say it? Much of my coin in as I endure several expensive failures and am forced to adapt. Expensive, yet I can't help but wonder whether I should have stayed in the old world after enduring several expensive failures. Yeah, okay. Let's just get the fuck out of here. Let's move on to another prompt. There has been so much time invested just in the musings and the previous prompt. I will not get through as many prompts as I thought I would in this sitting. Alright. Problem with me doing any fucking prompts that pertain to history I know is that I want to spend more time pondering about the sumbitches. It's easier when I'm just making it all up. If I'm not adhering to anchoring anything and just living in fantasy land. Okay. We stay here. Oh, shit. You have helpless people put in your chart. Create a skill that helps you exploit them. Derive it from a happy memory. Oh, man. So what makes the most sense here? Indigenous enslaved Indians. There's a, fuck, I forget the name of it. I'd have to look it up. There's a tribe... Fuck! Oh, my 8th grade teacher would be annoyed at me! I can't remember the name! Fuck me. So there was a tribe in the area that traded in enslaved Indians. I'm just gonna move on from that. Like, that's just what we're going from. And so the... Oh, actually, we should actually... I hate myself. I'm just... I am roiling right now, and I'm half tempted to pause this fucking video just so I could... Oh. Again, another pain of me anchoring this in stuff I supposedly know. You have helpless people put in your charge. Create a skill that helps you exploit them. Derive it from a happy memory. So, I know, like, the flavor in my head and what I might put in a memory. Somewhat. Actually, let's focus on the memory itself we're deriving this skill from. What's our happiest memory? Let's think about our happy memories. One is a bit spoiled. Two is pure happiness. Well, there's probably it's bittersweet, I think, the ending. Like, oh, I wish we could have spent more time together, you know? 3 is happy. 4 is... hmm. 4, just statement of facts. And 5 is recent and not really happy. Okay. Threat manipulator. We'll say Clovis, William Pendleton, recognizes the indigenous Indians for the powerful force they could be. And the skill that he develops to exploit them is in learning and understanding their differences between the settlers and them. And wielding those differences against them. He takes pains to learn their culture so that he may better break them. That's... Listen, nothing good was gonna come from this fucking prompt, right? Right? Nothing good was coming from this text. Like... You want to just make it like criminals, Grimith? No, that's Georgia. We can't do that. Georgia's got the criminals. Oh, man. Damn it. All right. And it also has to be derived from a happy, like, memory, too, which is what I'm trying to, like put this in. Like, manipulating Samara here at the end. I don't know. This feels weak. Ah! Last time on the prompt, Grimith. Reluctant. Manipulator. So the idea of learning someone's culture and heritage, as Clovis may very well have with Samara, and finding a way to utilize that against them. Culture weaponizer? Hmm. Culture manipulator? Manipulator of culture? I don't want to phrase that. Because it's not like he's taking someone's heritage and like ripping like the connections from it and making it his own. He's instead like wielding it. When someone uses your own culture against you, or like he twists like your own culture to like rip you asunder. Culture twister? Sounds like some sort of fucking dance, Grimith. It's like when you take a people's and you like destroy the fabric of their history so you can like better manipulate them, so you can they no longer have any basis for like their history and their lore, and you reshape them with that. I think part of my reluctance here is that this is pretty fucking dark, and I'm just dragging my ass on that. Are you super sure you don't want to just do criminals, Grimith? What do you mean you have a problem with? Oh, yeah, it's okay, Grimith. It's just Clovis Ravenor. This is just the story we're here on. You're role playing, Grimith. Like it's like he's a serpent. Like it's just poison. Just like raining down acid upon your heritage, upon your livelihood. Culture dissolver? At least it doesn't sound like a fucking dance. Alright, let's just go with that. How does that relate with the happy memory, Grimith? But perhaps it's here where we learn how the Clovis tricked Samara. And like the wooing here. The Heritage Breaker? At least it's not like a wrestling name. Almost sounds like a fucking like a generic knockoff of like a Mentos commercial, right? The Fresh Maker, the Heritage Breaker. I'm glad I can find the funny here in this bleak moment. Good job, Grip. We're deriving it from a happy memory. Just... Maybe we're spinning it more off of 4 than 2. You know, when I think about it like that, that makes more sense. Obey me or I'll eat you? How's the prompt worded? Helps you exploit them. I eat everyone. Not a picky eater. Eclectic diet. They're all just fucking euphemisms for being a monster. Oh. I'm gonna have to go hug some puppies after this. Okay. Now I've just got like Mentos commercials running through my head. Fuck me, they got a mind share. Do 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 ah do. Only instead of like, it's just like 30 seconds of Clovis being a fucking monster. Mr. Pendleton. Fate worse than servitude. That's probably how I want to frame the memory. Like, convincing the, indigenous, like, enslaved Indians sold by another Indian tribe, to the settlers here, that there is a fate worse than servitude. And, he convinces them. Pretty readily. It's not like the settlers are gonna fucking believe their stories, right? That Clovis eats people? That Mr. Pendleton eats people? No. See, the skill that I want to put here, though, just sounds too close to all flesh must be eaten. We'll have you over for dinner. That's just like a dumb vampire joke, really. Language crossing manipulator. Like, the barrier of language does not impede language crossing. I'll think of a way to workshop that. I'll permit myself to workshop that. The whole occupier versus inconspicuous thing, I'll leave it like it is, but I'll permit myself to workshop language crossing manipulator. Yeah. So, all of that, now that I finally figured that out, what the fuck am I gonna do with these memories? Two, it's a happy / bittersweet memory. 4 is firmly a happy memory. No. It's not firmly a happy memory. It's a way to recover from the humiliation, right? 5's too recent. One is something I'm not willing to just part with at this time. So now I look at 3. And I think that this goes in a diary. Clovis can't remember this easily. The thing that should not be, it's been too long. That he blackmailed it, and that... I mean, he just knows the secrets of immortal physiology. He wouldn't remember, though, how he uncovered them. It's just there. As if it's always been a part of him. It's like, yeah, I know this. How do I know this? It's just a part of me, an indelible part of me, because I'm a superior being. That must be what it is. There can't be anything else. Another thing to go in the diary, so anyone who, like, reads the diary will be like, oh, the writer here, they did some shit. And they knew some shit. What the fuck is this? Okay. As for how I write the experience here, as I can't use my servants for all of my tasks in Charlestown, I come into possession of I purchase enslaved natives from a local tribe. I have no difficulty communicating how dangerous I am to them. The consequences, the price of failure, price of disobedience, the price of disobedience to them. I have no difficulty communicating to them the price of disobedience. I have no difficulty expressing the price of disobedience. I heartily enjoy communicating to them, sharing with them the price of disobedience. As I cannot use my servants for all my tasks in Charlestown, as I cannot use my servants for everything in Charlestown, I purchase enslaved natives from a local tribe. I purchase several natives from a local tribe. You have helpless people put in your charge. I acquire. There we go. I acquire, I don't even want to put a count on it. I acquire natives from a local tribe. It's a revolving door. I heartily enjoy sharing with them the price of disobedience. That would definitely be a second sentence I would put there. But an experience should be a single evocative sentence. Well, this felt suitably fucking evocative. Let's just do one more prompt. Maybe I can cleanse the palate here. What have I become? Remember the good times we've had with Clovis? Turn Gabrielle, turn Clovis, turn Mr. Pendleton. It was all fun and games until we came to yeah, killing the fucking Sickly teenage king of England. That was a rip-roaring good time. Fuck me. You get back here. No one said you could go anywhere. That die was like, I want to be a 4. No, you can't be a 4. You get rolled together. We stay here, huh? Okay. We just fucking stay here. You are impressed by the fighting spirit of one of your victims. What did they do? How did they remind you of your own earliest memories? Did they survive? Create a mortal character. Okay. Well, I imagine if they didn't survive, I'd probably be crossing out this mortal character, but let's create a mortal character. This is the first time we have gotten a prompt 3 times in a row. Well, I mean, just 3 times, let alone 3 times in a row. No matter what now, like, if we come back to 47, we're just booted to 48. Okay. You are impressed by the fighting spirit of one of your victims. What did they do? How do they remind you of your own earliest memories? That they survived, create a mortal character? I think I'm just gonna end this session here. Yeah. It's like I'm just gonna end this session here. I don't think this character will matter in the grand scheme of things. But in terms of like processing who Clovis is now, I I need a break. I can't. I need a timeout. We need a wellness break. What the fuck? Charlestown, you said. You know the region, you said. She's just gone to fucking Georgia. Would have had to wait longer, though. I spend more time in Istanbul. Yeah, I can't resolve this problem right now. I'm already, like, restructuring this memory in with me, so I guess we'll end the session by doing that. The language barrier does not prevent me from convincing them of how dangerous I am. Yeah, there we go. Instead of the price of failure, Clovis just writes, how dangerous I am. Or, you know, something to that effect. He's probably a bit wordier in his own journal, but we have to do single evocative sentences. Yeah, so I'm just gonna pack up here. We'll be a fucking monster some other time. Be well, everyone.